Imagine you're sitting on a couch. You've got a device in your hands. It's touch sensitive, it fits in a jacket pocket, and you can watch Netflix on it. Now imagine you're trying to write a dissertation, edit a 4K video, or run a complex data analysis. Completely different device, right? Maybe not. Welcome to What Is. Today we're answering one of those questions that sounds simple, but somehow isn't. What exactly is a tablet? And how, actually, is it different from a computer? Sounds easy. But stick around, because by the end of this video, you might realize you've been using the word computer wrong your whole life. What it is. Let's start with the obvious. A tablet is that flat touchscreen device you probably use to scroll through social media, read ebooks, or video call your grandma. Popular examples include the iPad, Samsung Galaxy Tab, Amazon Fire, and dozens of others. They're sleek, they're portable, and they run operating systems like iPad OS or Android. But here's where it gets interesting. When you strip away the marketing fluff and the form factor, a tablet is essentially a computer. And I don't mean that in some philosophical, everything is a computer now way. I mean it literally. The processor inside your iPad, its architecture is remarkably similar to what's in many laptops. The operating system, it's descended from the same roots as desktop operating systems. The apps you run, they're built using many of the same programming principles. So why do we treat them as different categories? That's the question we're unpacking today. Before we get into the differences, let's do a quick history lesson, because understanding where tablets came from helps explain why the distinction exists at all. History. The concept of a tablet computer isn't new. Actually, it's older than most people realize. Back in the 1960s and 70s, researchers were already envisioning portable, touch-sensitive computing devices. Star Trek fans might remember the fictional pads, personal access display devices, that the crew used. That was the 1960s vision. Forward thinking, right? But the first real attempts at tablet computing came in the 1990s. Apple attempted the Apple Newton in 1993. It was a personal digital assistant with handwriting recognition. It was bulky, expensive, and the handwriting technology was generously described as imperfect. Then came the Microsoft Tablet PC initiative in the early 2000s. These were essentially laptops with touchscreen displays that you could fold flat. They ran full Windows, but they were heavy, expensive, and frankly, most people didn't bother. The revolution came in 2010. Apple released the first iPad, and suddenly, whoosh, everything changed. Apple didn't invent the tablet, but they perfected the formula. Intuitive touchscreen interface, long battery life, lightweight design, and an app ecosystem that made the device actually useful for everyday tasks. Within a few years, tablets went from novelty to necessity for millions of people. And here's the key moment. Apple deliberately marketed the iPad as not a computer. Remember the famous ad campaign? It's not a computer, it's an iPad. They wanted to separate the product in people's minds, make it feel simpler, more accessible, less intimidating than a traditional PC. That marketing decision, it shaped how we think about tablets to this day. But is that distinction actually valid? Let's find out. Alright, before we go further, quick break to say if you're new here, welcome. We're building something special at What Is, a channel dedicated to answering life's curious questions in the most engaging way possible. If you want to see more videos like this one, hit that subscribe button and join the community. Now let's get back to it. So what is a tablet really? At its core, a tablet is a portable computing device that uses a touchscreen as its primary input method, instead of a keyboard and mouse. It typically has a flat, slate-like design with a display covering most of the front surface. It connects to the internet via Wi-Fi and sometimes cellular data. It runs a mobile-derived operating system, though that's been evolving. Now, what is a computer? This is where it gets fun. A computer, in the technical sense, is any device that takes in information, processes it according to instructions, and outputs the result. By that definition, your smartphone is a computer. Your smart fridge is a computer. That old calculator you used in high school? Also a computer. But in common usage, when people say computer, they usually mean one of two things: a desktop tower with a monitor, or a laptop. Something with a keyboard, a mouse, perhaps some ports for connecting other devices. So already we see the issue. We're comparing categories based on form factor and usage patterns, not underlying technology. Let's break down the actual differences, real practical differences, between a tablet and what we typically call a computer. Differences. Number 1. Input method. This is the most obvious distinction. Tablets are primarily touch-driven. You tap, swipe, pinch, and drag. Computers, traditional ones at least, rely on keyboard and mouse input. Now here's where it gets complicated. Many tablets now support keyboard accessories. The iPad has the Magic Keyboard. Samsung's Galaxy Tab has keyboard folios. Some people use their tablet exactly like a laptop, but the default experience is different. Tablets feel natural for consuming content, watching videos, browsing the web, reading. Computers feel natural for creating content, writing documents, coding, editing photos and videos. Number 2. Operating system architecture. Tablets run mobile operating systems, whether that's iPad OS, Android, or Amazon's Fire OS. These are designed around touch interfaces and limited multitasking. Traditional computers run desktop operating systems, Windows, Mac OS, Linux, designed around mouse and keyboard interfaces with robust multitasking capabilities. But again, the lines are blurring. iPad OS now supports split-screen multitasking. Windows has touchscreen modes. You can connect a mouse to an iPad. You can use a tablet as a drawing input for a desktop computer. Number 3. Software ecosystem. This is huge. Computers can run full desktop software. Professional-grade applications for video editing, like Adobe Premiere, audio production like Pro Tools, scientific computing, complex databases, full programming environments. Tablets, even powerful ones like the iPad Pro, have limitations. The software is more constrained, not necessarily worse, just different. Touch-optimized apps tend to be simpler and more intuitive, but they don't have the feature depth of professional desktop software. Except, wait, Adobe now makes full Photoshop for iPad. Apple's iPad Pro with the M2 chip can literally run the same architecture of software as a laptop. So we're in this weird transitional period where the gap is closing fast. Number 4. Ports and connectivity. Traditional computers have USB ports, HDMI outputs, SD card readers, Ethernet jacks, all sorts of ways to connect to other devices and accessories. Tablets? You've got maybe a USB-C port or a lightning connector. That's it. Want to connect a professional camera? You might need adapters. Want to plug into a projector? Hope you've got the right dongle. But wireless connectivity has improved massively. AirDrop, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi casting, all that works well now. Number 5. Upgradability. With a traditional computer, desktop or laptop, you can usually upgrade components. More RAM, bigger hard drive, better graphics card. With a tablet, it's essentially sealed. You can't open it up and swap out parts. What you buy is what you're stuck with, hardware-wise, unless you count the keyboard accessory ecosystem. But those are add-ons, not upgrades to the core device. Number 6. Multitasking and workflow. On a computer, you can have multiple windows open simultaneously, easily drag content between applications, use keyboard shortcuts to speed up your workflow. Tablets traditionally made you work in one app at a time, though that's changing. You can run 2 apps side by side on modern iPads, but it's not the same as the fluid window-based experience of a desktop. Number 7. Price and accessibility. Here's a practical one. Tablets, especially budget models, can be cheaper than entry-level laptops. You can get a solid Amazon Fire tablet for under $100. An iPad for everyday use is competitive with mid-range laptops, but at the high end, iPad Pro with keyboard and Apple Pencil, you're spending laptop money, often more. Now let's look at the similarities, because they're actually more significant than the differences. Similarities. Both tablets and computers run on similar underlying technologies: processors, memory, storage, wireless radios. The fundamental computing architecture is the same. Both can run productivity software: word processing, spreadsheets, email, video calls. The difference is in degree and ease of use, not capability. Both connect to the internet and can run web-based applications. Both have app ecosystems, though computers also support traditional software installation. You could argue that the category distinction is becoming more about intention and use case than about the technology itself. Here's where I want to make you think differently about this. Remember earlier, I said people use computer to mean desktop or laptop. That's a cultural definition, not a technical one. The tablet is a computer. It's a category of computer. It's a bit like the difference between sedan and sports car. They're both cars. They have engines, wheels, steering wheels. But we categorize them differently because of how they're designed to be used. Tablets are computers optimized for consumption, portability, and touch-first interaction. Traditional computers are optimized for creation, expandability, and productivity. But here's the thing. As technology advances, these categories are merging. The iPad Pro is essentially a touchscreen laptop without the keyboard. Microsoft's Surface devices literally flip between tablet and laptop modes. Chromebooks now have tablet modes. We're watching the categories dissolve in real time. Is that confusing? Maybe a little. But it's also exciting. It means we're getting the best of both worlds, devices that are versatile and adaptable. When to use each. So when should you actually choose one over the other? Choose a tablet when you want something ultra-portable for casual use. Browsing, social media, video, reading. You're a student or casual user who mainly needs email, web browsing, and basic document work. You want a device that's easy for kids or less tech-savvy family members to use. You're an artist or designer who wants to draw directly on the screen with a stylus. You want a secondary device for consumption. Keep it on the coffee table for browsing, or take it to bed for reading. Choose a computer when you need to do professional creative work, video editing, music production, 3D modeling, software development. You need to run specialized software that only works on desktop operating systems. You want to do serious multitasking, multiple windows, complex workflows. You need expandability, more storage, more memory, multiple monitors. You're building a workstation that stays in one place. You need more ports and connectivity options for professional equipment. But honestly, many people benefit from having both. A tablet for casual use and a computer for heavy lifting. That's become the standard setup for many professionals. The future. Where is all this heading? Here's my prediction. The distinction between tablet and computer will continue to blur until it essentially disappears. We're already seeing it. Devices like the iPad Pro and Microsoft Surface are doing things that were exclusive to computers just a few years ago. Operating systems are converging. iPad OS keeps getting more computery features. Windows works better with touch. Chrome OS runs Android apps. The future might be less about choosing between categories and more about choosing the right configuration of a universal device. Keyboard attached or detached, touch mode or mouse mode, mobile app or desktop software. We're already living in that future to some degree. So, what is a tablet, and how is it different from a computer? Here's the simple answer. A tablet is a computer, a portable, touch-first computer. The real differences are in form factor, input methods, software capabilities, and intended use cases. But those differences are shrinking fast. The more interesting question might be, does the distinction even matter anymore? Maybe what we should really be asking is not tablet versus computer, but what kind of computing experience do I need? That's a question only you can answer. Thanks for watching What Is. If you learned something today, share this video with a friend who's still confused about the difference. Leave a comment below with your thoughts. Do you own a tablet, a computer, or both? What do you think about the future of these devices? And if you want more answers to life's curious questions, subscribe to What Is. Until next time, stay curious.